In the early 20th century, in a small rural town, there lived a family known as the Harrows. The Harrow farm, surrounded by acres of cornfields, was a staple in the community. However, a dark cloud loomed over the family. The Harrows had a son named Jacob, a young boy with an unsettling demeanor. As he grew older, his behavior became increasingly erratic and unsettling. The townsfolk spoke in hushed tones about strange occurrences happening around Jacob, as if he carried an aura of darkness with him. One fateful night, during a torrential downpour, the townspeople were awakened by blood-curdling screams echoing from the direction of the Harrow farm. As the rain beat relentlessly against their windows, they gathered their lanterns and rushed to the scene. When they arrived, the Harrow farmhouse stood in eerie silence. The door swung open with a mournful creak, revealing a gruesome sight. The entire Harrow family, parents and siblings alike, lay lifeless in the living room, their bodies arranged in a disturbing pattern. In the center of the room stood Jacob, drenched in blood, his eyes vacant and unresponsive. He clutched a rusted farm tool, the instrument of the family's demise. The rain outside seemed to wash away any trace of humanity left in him. The townspeople, horrified by the scene, subdued Jacob and took him into custody. As the investigation unfolded, a tale of madness and despair emerged. Jacob claimed that he had been tormented by malevolent entities, whispering sinister thoughts into his mind during the quiet nights. Court deemed Jacob mentally unstable, and he was confined to an institution for the criminally insane. The townspeople, haunted by the tragedy, spoke of a curse that lingered over the Harrow farm, carried by the relentless rain that fell on that dreadful night. The Harrow farmhouse, now abandoned and dilapidated, became a place of dread for the locals. Many claimed to hear whispers on stormy nights, the disembodied voices carrying the anguish of a tormented soul. The rain, once a source of life for the crops, now served as a chilling reminder of the night when darkness consumed the Harrow family. To this day, the Harrow farm stands as a solemn monument to a true horror that unfolded in the heart of a small town, leaving scars on the collective memory of the community. The rain, once a comforting presence, now elicits a sense of unease among those who remember the tragic tale of the Harrow family. In the early 1900s, in a quiet New England village, there stood an imposing mansion known as the Wharton House. With its towering spires and intricate wrought iron gates, it was the talk of the town. However, the grandeur of the mansion concealed a dark secret that would unfold during one chilling winter. The Wharton family, wealthy and reclusive, were the mansion's sole occupants. The patriarch, Reginald Wharton, was a stern man with a reputation for dabbling in the occult. As winter descended upon the village, an unnatural cold seemed to emanate from the Wharton house, chilling the air in its vicinity. One snowy night, the townspeople were jolted awake by a series of blood-curdling screams echoing from the mansion. As they rushed through the snow-covered streets, the wind howled mournfully, carrying whispers of a malevolent force that had been unleashed. Upon reaching the mansion, the villagers were met with a scene of horror. The Wharton family, all 5 members, lay lifeless in the grand hall, their bodies arranged in a macabre tableau. Reginald Wharton, in his final moments, had reportedly uttered cryptic incantations that echoed through the halls. The townspeople, fearing the supernatural, hesitated to enter the mansion. However, a group of brave individuals ventured inside, guided by the flickering light of lanterns. They discovered a hidden chamber beneath the mansion, a chamber adorned with arcane symbols and containing a forbidden tome. The tome revealed the Whartons' stint into madness as they sought to harness dark forces to prolong their lives. The incantations intended to bind their souls to the mansion had gone awry, resulting in a tragedy that sent shivers down the spines of all who heard the tale. To this day, the Wharton house stands as a spectral reminder of a dark chapter in the village's history. The snow, once a symbol of purity, now blankets the mansion in an eternal winter, concealing the horrors that unfolded within and serving as a chilling testament to the consequences of dabbling in the forbidden realms of the supernatural. In the late 1800s, in a remote Appalachian town named Hollow Creek, a peculiar incident occurred that left the residents haunted by an unexplained phenomenon. The source of the mystery was an old chapel on the outskirts of town, nestled in the shadow of the dense woods. The chapel had a long history, its weathered walls witnessing countless weddings, funerals, and Sunday services. One stormy night, when the rain beat against the chapel's windows like ghostly fingers, the townsfolk were jolted awake by the sound of hymns echoing through the hills. Curious and concerned, a group of villagers armed with lanterns and umbrellas ventured towards the chapel. As they approached, the ethereal music grew louder, accompanied by the distant whispers of voices reciting verses in unison. The chapel, seemingly abandoned for years, radiated an otherworldly glow. The villagers cautiously pushed open the creaking door, revealing a scene that sent shivers down their spines. Inside, the pews were occupied by transparent figures, their movements synchronized with a haunting melody. The rain outside seemed to harmonize with a spectral choir. At the front of the chapel stood a spectral preacher, delivering a sermon to an unseen congregation. The villagers, paralyzed by the eerie spectacle, watched as the transparent figures sang hymns that hadn't graced the chapel in decades. The air was thick with a spiritual energy that transcended the realm of the living. As the clock struck midnight, the apparitions faded, leaving the chapel in a heavy silence. The rain outside diminished to a gentle drizzle. The townspeople, bewildered and fearful, left the chapel, its doors closing behind them with an echoing thud. Word spread through Hollow Creek of the spectral congregation that appeared on stormy nights. Locals spoke of lost souls finding solace in the chapel, reliving moments from their past. Some believed it was a divine phenomenon, while others insisted it was a curse haunting the town. The spectral occurrences continued, becoming an unsettling routine during stormy nights. The townspeople, torn between fear and fascination, began to avoid the chapel after dark. The rain, once a source of life for the town, became a harbinger of the supernatural, carrying with it the echoes of hymns and ghostly whispers. To this day, the old chapel in Hollow Creek stands as a spectral haven where the boundary between the living and the dead blurs on stormy nights. The rain, once a natural melody, now serves as a reminder of the mysterious and unexplained events that unfolded within the chapel's weathered walls.